Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fair Life with Andrew McKee. I started a little early tonight, and partly because it's the last episode, last show of the year. Ooh. And also because I was having a little trouble with YouTube, and I wanted to make sure I was still on, so I checked that, and it is going. They were trying to make me sign on again, so I worked around it. So it is all good. Never boring, never boring. But hey, Jan and Kevin and Kurt, thanks for joining. Hopefully I'll get the YouTube chat feed in as well. I'm not sure, we'll see. It might work. But YouTube, they kept wanting me to verify since I'm on a different, as you can tell, I'm at a different location. And, yep. Kathy says hi. Thank you. That helped. So YouTube is coming through too. Excellent. But different locations. So they wanted me to verify who I was since they hadn't seen me log in from this location before. That's apparently going to be a problem in the future. I'm going to have to face a lot more of because I'm going to be traveling and going to a lot of different connections. So I'm going to have to try to get that figured out. And hey, Foogly, thanks for joining. Whew. Yeah, it is. Boy, what a year. It has been a crazy year, not just in the world and in the United States and at Ren fairs, but for me personally. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate, but it has been an interesting time to say the least. But yeah, okay, so we got another person confirming YouTube's working. And hey, Harvey, thanks for joining. Yeah, it is a very, very nutty year, but what a year. I mean, a lot of good things have happened as well. And I know it's common practice to dwell on the bad. I get it. We all do it. But some really interesting things have happened too. And some that I thought might be bad, but I'm choosing to look at them as good. And of course, I guess it would be proper to go ahead and do a quick little some of the changes that have happened this year. Like, for instance, 2 fairs this year that I've done, they had me at least partly in charge of sound. At one, I was completely in charge, and the other one, I was in charge at one of the stages. So that was kind of interesting. I guess I definitely always thought of myself as a sound engineer, but I just never thought about doing something like that until they asked. And when they did, it kind of clicked and made me realize, yeah, this is something I can do. So that's been kind of interesting to try out. And I've had a lot of good feedback from the performers on the stages that I helped out on. And a lot of it was very positive. I think they really appreciated that I'm not just a sound engineer, I'm also a musician and performer. And any problems they have, not only can I relate to, I can empathize with. And I want to help because there were times I went out of my way to help, and I'm proud of that. You're not wrong, Harvey. Yeah, and we'll see if this trend continues, if I do that more. I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly trying a lot of new fairs this coming up year, so we'll see. And hey, Nancy, thanks for joining. But yeah, that's been interesting. And like I said, I'm going to be traveling a lot more. I'm looking at, traveling more this coming up year than I ever have. And that's pretty huge. In the past, let's see, originally I was looking at booking this coming up year and trying to book about 70% of the weekends and try to do something along those lines. But it turned out that my landlords in Austin sold the place I've been living at for freaking ever, and I didn't have much time, so I purged a lot of what I owned, got rid of a lot, put a little bit left in storage, and the rest of my car, and I am a road musician, a traveling musician now. So it's kind of spurred me on to try to book more. And now I'm trying to book almost 90% of the weekends out of the year. I'm trying to get about 46 out of 52 weekends is what I'm shooting for. Yeah, I mean, if I don't hit that, I think it'll be close, but it's looking very promising. So that's been crazy. I know I have friends who do this, who really go on the road and have done that for several years without a home base. And they think I'm a little nuts to try to go for that many weekends, but I've never done that before. I've never really tried to push myself. I want to see what my limits are. And I think really going full tilt for a year is a good way to do it. And we'll see. If I don't like it, I'll scale back. If I am fine with it, I'll continue. I mean, I think it's important to know. So I'm going to try that. It's going to be an interesting adventure, an interesting challenge. And also, I'm working on a couple of new CDs. Actually, 3 new CDs, technically. One with my old bandmate, Mark Gunn. We did a Kickstarter recently, and with the old group, the Brobdingnagian Bards, and it did incredibly too well, which means we had a lot more work to do because of all of the stretch goals. And I'll be working on that for the next couple of months, and we'll be getting a lot of that done. I'm also working on a couple of CDs of my own, and that's kind of interesting. We will see how that goes. I really like the direction they're going. One is going to be it's going to be a Faire CD, because I noticed the CD I put out before was mostly just Irish stuff, and it worked at Faire, but it wasn't technically a Faire CD. So I wanted to put together my de facto Renaissance Faire CD, music you'd hear to Faire, and try to do a really good job with that. So that's what I'm working on. The other CD is going to be a dance CD, and I've been working on that for a few years on and off, and it keeps evolving, but I think I've got it locked down now. So we're going to get that together, and that's going to be going on over the next few months as well. Hopefully I can get the Faire CD done. I'm shooting for getting it sometime during Sherwood Fair in March and April and getting that finished. I know that's not a lot of time, but I've already been working on it, and I will have some free time here in the end of December and a little bit of time in January and sometime in February. So if I put it all together and I work hard, I think I might have a shot at doing it. We're going to give it a shot. So we'll see. And hey, Janine, thanks for joining. And yes, I will have CDs. And the interesting point is I'm going to try something a little new, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this. What I'm going to do is, I talked a little bit before about doing the musical pins, where you have a lapel pin that has a great design on it. And don't worry, I'm not going to be doing the design. I'll have input, but we'll leave that to a graphic designer that I hire, because, yeah, always know your limitations. And just have it be where the design looks good on its own. But if you like the music, it also works well to associate with that. And with that, you get, if you buy the pin, you also get a digital download of all of the music from that CD. And that's the idea. You also have the physical CD you can get, but I also want to have an option where you can buy the sheet music. And I've kind of been toying with this for a few years on how to make this work. And I think I've got a good idea on it to make it viable. So, let me know what you think, if you would be interested in doing something like that. Well, I'm probably not going to do a Kickstarter for my own CD. Maybe I should, but I don't think I am. I mean, partly because it was so close to the Brobdingnagian Bards one that I don't know if I like that idea of doing that. So I'm kind of, not really. We'll see. I mean, maybe the second CD, with the dance CD, I might do a Kickstarter, because that'll be far enough removed. But I'm not a big fan of Kickstarters back-to-back like that. I tend to think that's a bad idea. So I'm okay with just working on this one on my own, because I also don't want the added pressure, since I've got so many things going on at once. I'm determined to finish this, but yeah, I don't want to lock it in like that. Yeah, definitely. I knew Jan would like the sheet music. That was very good, always. So it should be fun. Oh, really? Oh, it'll definitely be in the range for a recorder. I mean, come on, that's sort of my jam. But no, it will be. It'll have the main melody and chords for sure with lyrics. I don't know if I'm going to get more detailed than that, because although on the recordings there will be some other instrumentation and some counter melodies and harmonies and things like that, I don't. That starts to get a little tedious. I think just the main melody and the chords is probably the route I'll go with it. So hopefully that'll be enough, but it will be in a key that the recorder can play. So, which luckily also happens to be a key most instruments can play. So that'll make it pretty easy. That's the plan. I mean, one of the ways I'm going to make it interesting for other people who maybe aren't as much into the music is it's also going to be kind of like the liner notes of CDs and LPs in days of old, the really good ones that had a lot of extras in a booklet that you got with it, that had like information about the song, a little bit of history, maybe some pictures, some behind the scenes stuff, some interesting bits and tidbits in there. And I'm going to try to include that and see if I can do a pretty good job with that. Now, I'm also toying with the idea of including some of the tracks that didn't make the CD. And here's the thing. Some of you may not know how a CD gets put together. Normally what you do is you put together a list of these are the songs I'd like to put on the CD. And it's always a bit more than what you would want to put on the CD. Because when you do that, always at least about 10-20% don't work out. Either because the arrangement just doesn't gel, that you're trying to do. Maybe the recording didn't go very well on it, so it just doesn't sound good. Or maybe there's some serious mistakes that you should have fixed in the studio, but for whatever reason you missed them. And you hear it later and you're like, oh gosh, no, that can't go on a CD. And you have the choice of going back to the studio and trying to fix it or not. And so with all of that, several tracks just don't make it. Now, I would, of course, fix those things and try to make them work. And sometimes it's just, you pick the 15 best out of that to put on a CD, and several, like 5 others, don't make it. So the idea is to have those 5 as bonus tracks that you can get if you get the sheet music part of it. You'd have the sheet music for them and downloads where you could get the recordings of it. I don't know. I thought it might be interesting. Oh yeah, kind of like that. That's exactly how I would approach it, Janine. Yeah, it will definitely be something like that. So yeah, hopefully you like it. That's the plan. So yeah, with that, definitely have a few New Year's resolutions for Faire Life, because perfectly all right, Drew. To be fair, I was a little early, so it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of it, Fugly. But no, definitely have some resolutions for next year because of all the craziness that I went through this year. And of course, Alacia had some health issues during the year, and especially this fall. You'll notice she's not in comments right now, and that's part of the reason. So hopefully she's getting better, and it looks like she is. So hopefully next year that will be a lot easier, and because it's definitely nice having her around. Helps a lot, not just with the show, but planning the show and doing other things as well. I'd been wanting to have her as another person on the show through a live video stream and do some of that. We toyed with that a little bit a year and a half ago, and done a bit of it, but the plan was always to include her more into that. And I mean, not every week, but just a little bit, to have some specials here and there with her in it. And because of everything, that just didn't work out. So I'd like to try to do some more of that. I'd also like to go ahead and set up having guests on, so that we can have some other people, performers, whoever. I mean, just a nice mix of people to put on and interview and talk to and just have a good time. So that's kind of a plan that I've wanted to do for a while. Definitely going to take a little time over the holidays to tweak the show a little bit as far as some of the programming and some of the different elements and even some of the graphics. I'm probably tweak a few of those. There's a couple of things that have been annoying me for a few years that I've been wanting to fix, but I just never took the time to lock it down and do it. I'm sure all of you can relate to things like that, but that's just a few. But I think if I fix those, I'll be very happy with how everything is. So that's always good, because yeah, I did pretty much all the graphics for the most part myself. So I had a little help here or there with a few things, but most of it was me. So it's a bit of work, and yeah, never boring. So ooh, yeah. But yeah, I'd also like to do some more on the road features, since I'm going to be on the road all year round. I'd like to do some. I'd love to do some remote things where I'm at the Faire site and do a show from that. Definitely going to try to do more of that and look into that, see how easy I can do it, because the big problem is definitely going to be the bandwidth issue. And I'm going to test a little bit with my phone and see what I can accomplish. It might be worth it if I can find a viable option, something that like some fairs are going to have a better connection network-wise so that I can use it and it'll be fine than others. So we'll see. It's always a big question. Yes, Ginny, thank you. Yeah, and I would agree with the same thing. That's one of the best parts, just meeting a bunch of people. And I certainly did as well. So it was great to meet you. Yeah. I think definitely going to do more music on the show, and do as I work on the CD, show little bits of what I'm working on to give you hints of this is how this arrangement is going. Here's one verse and one chorus. What do you think? Kind of stuff. I'd like to do more of that. I definitely have some do a little bit of previews of some of the recordings and mixing and mastering, so that you get a taste of kind of what we're doing. And I think it will be good. Bard on the Street Reporter. I like that. Yes, okay. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Faire. This is Andrew McKee, your bard at the fair. No, I don't know. That might be a little much. But we'll see. We'll see. You could always do some interviews. That might be fun. I don't know. We'll talk about that and see what if that might be something you'd be interested in, because it wouldn't be difficult to do some interviews of people at Faire, especially in between shows, in between busking sessions. Some fairs I get really busy. Some fairs I'm not. It's kind of weird. Not all fairs are the same, and I try to keep myself as busy as possible, but sometimes I'm twiddling my thumbs for a while, and I try not to, but it's sometimes you have no choice, because I could play music on the street, but I'd be interfering with other people's shows, and I don't like doing that. So it can be difficult sometimes to find a good spot, but I'll try. I always try to do that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Your bard in the lanes. That's not bad. I like that, Kurt. Okay. Bard in the lanes. I mean, kind of sounds a little bit more bowling, but okay. With the lanes. But okay, I like it. That could work. But yeah, let's see. Now, I really need to get into the Faire list for this coming up weekend, because it is seriously vast. So we really need to look into that. So here you go. 2 fairs. I know, right? It's 2. I mean, there are a few Dickens events going on, but I don't really like to count them, because if you count the early 1800s, I mean, why not put a Wild West event in there too? Because why not? Or Victorian Gothic. I mean, include that. I mean, it just, where do you draw the line? And since it's usually Renaissance or medieval fairs, things that seem to fit in there, whether it's Vikings in the medieval era, or Fae or fairies in the whole mystical aspect of medieval and Renaissance views of the world. I mean, okay. So that's generally how I've approached it. So yeah, I haven't included that. So we're going to go with just, yeah, just these two. I don't even think I really need to do the pointer, but okay, I will go ahead and do that. Why not? Just real quick. So we have the Yuletide Village Season of Lights at the Ohio Ren Fair. And this is the last weekend, the fourth weekend they're doing it. So this is a very big endeavor in Waynesville, Ohio, just doing it for 4 straight weekends, and for a sort of a Christmas festival. It's very interesting, the Yuletide festival for them, and it is apparently fairly successful. So good for them. Then we jump down to Texas, and there's the Yule Viking Festival in Gladewater, Texas. This is the second year they've done that. So I know several people that are performing there, and a few people that are going this weekend. So it should be interesting and something to check out. But after that, it starts to get a real taper off until you get to beginning of next year, which is where I will be starting on the 1st of January. Well, not 1st of January, the first weekend of January. I will be at the Fair of Champions. So yes, to the interviews before a fair day starts. Yeah, that is one way to do it. That is definitely an option. Yeah, I really, that could work out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there, and none of them are necessarily wrong. It just depends on which direction we want to go. Do we want to get more into the interview and reporter type thing? Interview regular patrons, interview performers, interview entertainment directors and owners, and go through this process of getting an overview of the fair? Is that the direction you kind of want to go? Or would that be a little tedious for some people? I don't know. I mean, I think it would be for some. I think some people would be really interested, but I don't know if that's the way to go. And that's kind of where I am with this, trying to decide that. So we shall see. We shall see. I mean, I just did 6 weekends of the Louisiana Fair, where I was also in charge of the sound for the fair, and had a good time. It was, it's always a fun time. It's also the only fair I only busk at. I don't do any stage shows there. Every other fair I do. So it's really an odd experience for me to do that, but it's also fun because it's so different. So, I mean, I kind of, around the fair, it's a lovely side, and, well, I think I have I have something I can put up here. There you go. Just a little bit of what the fair is like, and to see the grounds a little bit. It's one of those round fairs that is, the center is kind of a small lake, and it's very lovely that way. Oh, okay. Which do you prefer? I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, yeah, well, that's not necessarily true, Fugly. I mean, you could get more tips in busking, but if you have a big stage with a huge crowd, I mean, you can really clean up on tips, so it just depends. I mean, I don't really know. That's, for me, it's like apples and oranges. I enjoy them both for different reasons, and the fact that I can do both is nice, but it gives me, it keeps it from getting boring. I mean, not that I've ever had that problem, at least as yet, but I'm wanting to make sure I never have that problem. I enjoy it too much, but it's just fun. So doing something a little different now and then, I'm all for. But it's very much a different animal. Now, I know some people are better at one than the other, and you probably should stick with it. I think I can probably do both fairly well, So I'm fine switching back and forth. But there are certainly people that are better buskers than I am, and but there are people that are better on stage than I am. So I'm not perfect, but I think I'm okay at both. So that helps. Um, oh, okay. So Janine thinks that the interviews and everything during the pandemic was interesting. Well, okay. I mean, that might be worth checking out then. I mean, it was a direction we kind of looked at, but then when the pandemic kind of started going away and Faire started coming back and people weren't doing online shows like they were, we kind of backed off on a lot of things. And yeah. You can find me on stage. I hope that's a typo, and you're not trying to tell me that I owe you money because I was that bad. I hope it's a typo. We'll see. But yeah, let me go ahead and do a 7 reasons. I'm trying to get as much as I can here since it's the last show, and I don't want to. I don't want to just waste the opportunity because I'm not quite sure when next year's show will be. So I'd like to get in as much. Oh, good. That wasn't a typo. Whew. That was close. I was worried I was going to have to owe you money after every time I went on stage. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, sometimes you just need a nice little hook. And, your names are John and Wayne, and you call yourselves the John Wayne Band. That's one way to do it. It's definitely, yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into 7 reasons. And I chose 7 reasons my future is bright because I'm really happy with the way things are looking for next year. And some people are surprised. They think that after everything that happened and, losing my residence and everything, that I should be a little nervous, and they're worried that I'm going to be miserable on the road. And I guess I get that, but a lot of it is not really, most of the year won't be much different. I mean, a lot of it, the traveling and where I'm staying and everything is going to be about the same, whether I live there or not. So it's really just about how I pack. That's the only difference. Thank you. Thank you for getting that, was it Tim Buck 3 reference in. Always appreciate that. So let's see, 7 reasons. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. 7 reasons my future is so bright, to quote Fugly on that. Number 7, I'm booking up the year. And originally, I was looking at booking about 70% of the year and then spending the rest time relaxing and back in Austin and everything. But since, I don't have a residence, it's a real kick in the butt to try to find more gigs and just so I have a place to stay, if nothing else. And so I'm looking at trying to get 46 weekends booked out of 52. And even if I don't hit that, I'm pretty confident I'll get close. So that's pretty good, and I think it'll be really interesting. At the very least, profitable, so that's good, and should be a lot of fun. So number 6, working on a new CD. Now that's awesome because I've been talking about doing a new CD for several years, and I just have not really done it. But now, I will say, being on the road, in a weird way, it's tough to get distracted. You'd think it'd be the opposite, but priorities really shift when you only have this, and this available to you. And I think I'm going to get a lot more work done, honestly. So we'll see, but I'm confident. Number 5, more adventures ahead. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, the beautiful things about being a traveling musician is you travel, you see all these great places, you meet all of these great people, you eat in these interesting restaurants all across the United States and sometimes the world. And it is, in a way, it's like being on a paid vacation. And while it's tiring and a lot of work, a lot of vacations are. So you really just, it is a lot of fun. if you can pull it off. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. Number 4, fewer expenses. I did the math on how much I was paying for rent and bills in Austin, and let's just say I'm going to be saving around $10,000 a year. So that's kind of cool. And with all the expenses and traveling and everything, I was going to do that anyway. So it doesn't really offset or anything. It's just a extra money in my pocket. And that is pretty cool. It suddenly makes everything seem a lot easier. So I'm really happy about that. Number 3, I'm feeling well for my age. I'm actually in pretty decent health. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 25 anymore. Wish I was, but I'm not, and that's okay. But I am considering I'm in okay health. There aren't any serious problems, and no worries about that. So this is actually a pretty good time to try this. It may kick my ass, and who knows, I might break something or knock on some wood. But it is, I think it's a good opportunity to try it, and hopefully we'll see how long it lasts. Yeah, that's going to be the tough part, and definitely don't worry, hiring somebody to take care of the taxes, because that's going to be the tough part. That is the you have to that is the issue. Some gigs it won't be as much of a problem because it's under the amount you need, but a lot of them it gets complicated, and believe me, it's a lot easier to stomach when you're realizing how much money am I saving with the residents. Okay, I can hire somebody. It's okay. So that's kind of how I'm justifying it. Right? Yeah. Vocation, your vacation. Very true. Very true. Number 2, I get to play music. I mean, I make a living playing music. That is extraordinary in a way. It still makes me go, is this real? Is this my life? Because that is just so excellent and wonderful. I get to really enjoy that. It's so good. Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on. I think that's part of the reason why I'm as healthy as I am, because I really love what I'm doing. I enjoy a lot of things. I'm not angry or stressed all the time. I get to really just enjoy things. And that has helped a ton. I don't know how much it's affected my health. I mean, maybe I owe my parents and grandparents a little extra bonus for genetics. I don't know. But I'm sure it doesn't hurt. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. And the number 1 reason why my future is so bright, friends like all of you. Because in all of this time of being a musician, I've not only been a lot of places and had a lot of fun moments, I've met a lot of great people. And all of you are a wonderful example of that. So thanks again for just being friends of mine. And it has been a pleasure, and I hope it will continue to be a pleasure to just spend time together and get to hang out. And hopefully, as I pass through your area, we can get lunch or something. Because, yeah, it is always a pleasure to see you, and it has made my life so much better to know all of you. So thank you. So yes, that is my 7 reasons. So yeah. And next year, I'll be starting at the first weekend playing at Faire of Champions, and that will be going on for 5 weekends. So the first weekend of January to the first weekend of February. Now that's in East Texas, and we will see. I haven't played there before. They've been around for a few years, so it's still a pretty young fair. But I'll see how that goes and let you know. Normally, I'd try to start fair life again in the middle of January, but with going back and forth at Fair Champions, I'm not sure how smart that is. It might end up being the beginning of February. We'll see. I will keep you updated on that, because that is a tough one to lock down. But I will say it's either going to be the middle of, probably the middle of January to the middle of February when that starts again. And hopefully I can keep the weekly shows going throughout the year. That's my goal. I'm going to try to make sure I have enough bandwidth to cover it. I'm going to do some more testing on that. I've done testing in the past, but now it's go time. It's time to be very aggressive with the testing to make sure. Oh, good. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how it goes too. I mean, I know people that performed there a couple of years ago, so they've kind of been doing some weird soft openings for a few years. So it's a little weird. I don't quite, but I mean, they're open 5 weekends, which is not a small number for a new fair. So they've kind of done a very strange route to it, but hopefully it'll work out. I'm willing to give a fair a try, and certainly it works great with my schedule because there's not much else going on in January. I mean, unless you want to go to at the end of January, maybe Arizona or Florida. Those are kind of your options. Hmm. Oh, don't worry. I will, but it will be. I'm going to also get a lot of work done, which is okay. Because believe it or not, depending on the type of work, I tend to enjoy it. If it involves music or graphics design or computers or things like that, I usually have fun. It's usually a fun project. So I'm going to work on a lot of little things and get that, but also really work on arranging the songs for the new CDs. Because that's the most important thing. Getting that done, getting the sheet music kind of together, and then jumping in and recording. And that's what I'm going to be working on. So we'll get a lot done, and I'll hopefully have a lot of updates for you when we talk again online. But for now, I guess I can just say have a wonderful time for the rest of the year. Have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope you have a lot of fun, and next year the beginning treats you well. So thanks again, and I will see you soon. Take care and slacha. Bye.